Dr. Spencer Price lost by just a few hundred votes in the Senate District 18 race in 2012. Now he's back on the ballot, hoping Georgia voters will send him to the Capitol this year. 41 NBC's Ashley Minnelli sat down with the doctor and veteran to talk about an issue that will take priority if he's elected: health care.
You're a doctor and you're an author. So professionally speaking, how do you feel that will translate if elected to the state Senate rather, sorry.
That's correct. Well, you know, as we were talking about before the segment began, healthcare is the issue of the day, bar none. There are lots of important issues in this state, but healthcare is the top issue in our state and nationally. Regrettably, we only have one physician serving in our state legislature right now, and I intend to increase that by at least one more. We need a stronger voice of healthcare in our legislature to help sort out some of the problems that we're dealing with these days. Healthcare is a complex issue, and it's not something that is easily handled unless you have a strong background in medicine to make those decisions.
In terms of healthcare, Governor Deal made the decision not to include Medicaid expansion in his budget this year. How did you feel about that choice, and do you feel Medicaid should have been expanded in our state?
Well, I think that choice was the proper choice that Governor Deal made, and here's why. I'm in healthcare every day. I see it every day. There is a fallacy, a misunderstanding that the general public has, or some in the general public, I should say, that if we don't expand Medicaid, excuse me, that people will just be left completely without health care. They'll be dying in the streets, et cetera, et cetera. That's completely not the case. People come to the emergency room, they're taken care of regardless of if they have insurance coverage or not. So that's really not an issue. The problem that I have with the way Medicaid is running now is that it's very inefficient and is being abused at a rate that is truly astounding. And my perspective is that before we spend more money on a broken system, we need to reform the system and fix it, and then we can use those resources more equitably and more efficiently.
Speaking of reform, what specifically do you feel you could bring to the table in terms of that? How would you reform the system?
Practical experience, and there's no getting around that. Simple, practical experience. I see people coming to the emergency room with complaints that literally, you know, shouldn't be dealt with in the emergency room. There's some public education that can go on to help redivert those patients, or divert those patients to other sources of care. That would be a tremendous savings. There's just we could literally talk for hours about the problems that I see on a daily basis. And again, the important thing, the take-home message, is that only somebody with that kind of experience in the healthcare field can really give the perspective that's necessary to correct the program.
Part 2 of Dr. Price's interview with Ashley, that comes on tonight on the 41 NBC News at 11. He talks about his views on education and why he feels Georgia doesn't need the